What's up? Welcome back to the channel here. Filming an intro at the end of this project, but I didn't think I was going to do it. Then I decided, yeah, enough people were asking about it. I'm going to show step by step on how my buddy Tony, he's got a real nice clean 86 Bronco 2, little cream puff. Factory gauges work for crap. So he bought a set of combo Speedhut gauges. They got a lot of cool features. They're not cheap. We're not talking AutoZone quality gauges here. This is good, made in America, lifetime warranty stuff here. He wanted some real gauges put in this truck, but something that would still look stock. So I showed him what I bought for my wife's truck through Speedhut, and he ended up buying the same. Customize them a little bit. You can pick your colors. The stuff you can do with these gauges is crazy. I've literally spent hours on their website just building gauges, and then every vehicle I have they all got Speedhut gauges in them. I love them. So I'm going to start off. These are just going to be like a slideshow to start with on what I started with the stock cluster, and then every step of the way on what I did with each picture. I'll describe, what I did there. So in the end, you'll see how it all turned out, and I'm 99% happy on how it turned out. You'll see at the end. So check it out. Let me know what you think. So to get the cluster out, it's pretty straightforward. Just remove the trim along the bottom of the dash to expose the screws for the bezel, top and bottom. 4 screws hold the cluster into the dash. Reach behind it, undo the 2 clips, the 2 big wire harness plugs, and on the floor by the gas pedal, unbolt the speedo cable so give you some room to pull it out. Once I had it out on the bench, I went ahead and disassembled all the gauges and the speedo, pulled everything out, and then I opened up a hole behind the speedo to get all the wires through. So using the original clear lenses as a pattern, I used some textured black ABS plastic to make a new backing plate to mount the gauge to. And then I used a unibit to cut some holes in it, and then a little, these plastic cutting bits I have just working a die grinder to open that up and get the gauge mounted in there, and it works perfectly. Here you can see the other blank one, getting ready to install the multi-gauge. Super simple, looks really good. Just remember, this plastic is 30 plus years old now, so it's very brittle. I had some stuff break on me that I had to repair with 2-part epoxy to get it all back together. So here's both gauges installed and all the wiring fed through the panel, so it's easy to get to once it's in the truck. It's a little test fit with the bezel on there to see how it looked. Looks nice. So after finding all the wires I needed to tap into for the different functions like the lights and the gas gauge and whatnot, I went ahead and plugged in the 2 vertical plugs to the back of the cluster, moved the speedo cable out of the way. Here you can see the bezel on, not powered up. And in this shot, we have power. We have power and lights, and looks good. All right, as far as the wiring goes, it's pretty straightforward. With the kit, they give you a new water temp sensor and an oil pressure sensor. On these motors, the oil pressure sensor just hangs straight down by the gearbox there, super easy to get to. And they give you a nice pre-loomed wire harness for both sensors. And I just routed them through a little grommet down here in the firewall. Down there's one little empty plug. I ran it through there along with, I tapped into the coil right here, this green wire. The yellow wire that comes from Speedhut goes to the tach signal for the tachometer. So that's where I tapped into that. All right, as far as the wiring for the gauges themselves, I didn't think far enough ahead to actually film the wiring that I had to do. It's not all that difficult. The Speedhut gauges all have like pre-made plugs, so the water temperature, the oil pressure gauge, all just plug right in from that wire I showed you under the hood. Super simple. What I do for the gas gauge, they give you a long wire that you can actually run from the dash all the way to your sending unit and your gas tank. What I do is, on the back side of the cluster, there's 2 horizontal plugs that feed all the power to the cluster from the factory. I unplugged those and I just used my multimeter, and I found the wire that is the signal wire from the sending unit and the gas tank. I can't remember exactly which color it was, but it's a quick quick search on Google, it tells you what it is. I just found that. Tap into the wire from the Speedhut gauge to that wire in the factory harness. There's also a constant 12-volt power signal in one of those plugs that goes to the speedometer for its GPS memory. And all the lighting, the Speedhut gauges come with their own inverter, and all the wiring for the instrumentation lighting, and that all taps into also on those plugs in the back of the cluster. It's just super easy. Just pull the light switch out, use your multimeter to start checking the different leads on those plugs, and I found the wire for the factory illumination. I tied into that. Super easy to do. I think that was it pretty much. Just grounded it behind the dash to the metal structure, and that was it. Pretty super easy. So yeah, don't be scared about that. With a multimeter and Google on your side, you really can't screw it up. So here's a little close-up of the multi-gauge all lit up and powered. And here is a shot of the speedo and the tack all powered up. Everything looks really good in there. All right, here's the finished product. The Speedhut combo gauge is installed here. You can see with that textured ABS plastic I use as a backer. That one turned out good. This one, I don't know, I can't explain. It's off center. I am not happy about that, but something with this, the bezel is not centered like I thought it would be. That's the way it's gonna have to be. So anyway, here are the gauges. Turn on the lights. There we go. And we have the, I wonder if I can turn the light off on my phone here. Hold on. All right, that's better. So there's the lights for the gauges. So these gauges over here, we have the oil pressure. It has a programmable low pressure, which I set at 10 psi. It'll have a low warning light anytime it goes below 10 psi. Gas gauges are all programmable for any vehicle make. You have multiple choices on the ohm readings for the sending units. This one has a programmable fuel light, which I set at about, I don't know, a 1/16 of a tank to come on. Water temp, I have that set about 225. A warning light will come on if it gets that hot. And the voltage I have set to come on, there's a warning light at 9 volts. So anything below 9 volts will get a warning light. Speedometer, this is GPS. There's a little antenna right there on the dash. So this will always be right no matter what you do for gears, tire sizes, tachometer, program for any cylinder amounts you want. It also has a little programmable shift light, which I think I set this one at like 5500, which is probably pushing it for a 2.9. But the little LED display here, I was also able to program it to the original mileage on the odometer. So the original odometer said 92,521, so I put it at 500. So we have menus here. We can go through, we have the time, which is always going to be correct. We have the altitude. I am at 615 feet above sea level where I am currently at. We have a digital speedometer. We have a compass. We are heading north. Right here, it'll show your peak mile per hour. So if you're feeling brave on turning that into a game, I found it fun in my Thunderbird. And right here, we can do 0 to 60 times, all GPS based, quarter mile times. And that is it. And of course, you have a trip meter there too. So pretty awesome setup, man. So here we go. I'm going to fire it up. You'll see when I turn the key, we get a warning light for the low oil pressure. Fire up the truck. And there we go. We have 60 psi. We're charging at 13 volts. Water temp is cold off the gauge, and we got a half tank of gas. Everything works as it should. We still have turn signals that are still hooked up to all the factory wiring. There it is. I love this stuff. Now, these gauges are not cheap, but you have real gauges. You can lay it out to look just about factory and have all modern stuff. So if you've never heard of Speedhut, I highly recommend looking into them. Awesome. Thanks for watching.